Okay. All right. Zell, the roof is here, Straightway, Georgia. Very, very long day. We got started about 7:30ish today. We did breakfast at 7 and got right down here about 7:15, 7:20. And as you guys can, let me see if I know how to turn this down. As you can see, Brother Brent is kind of moving the pile a little bit towards the machine so that we can actually burn it right here. We're going to do a pile right here to just burn this last little pile. Keep it low, let it simmer. But one interesting things, I should have kept it around. I know y'all don't need to look at my ugly mug. But one of the interesting things I found out, we had a older woman pull up and she started talking to the brother, and so I went up to her car and she told me that she moved here. That, like, we had this house that we just tore down where Brother Brent's red truck is at. Let me see. I'll turn around. Visual. You trying to see his red truck back there? There was another house built right there, right, with his truck and trailer. She said in 1940. So that is 80 years ago, y'all. She moved into that house with her father and mother, and she was 3 years old. So now she's 83 today. And she said there's a house down here at the end of the block, and there is the house that she lived in where the red truck is at, and plus the house we just tore down. Those three houses, she told me, were all built pre-Civil War. So that means, because the saints kept asking me, Elder, how old do you really think that house is? And I said, I'm telling you, I really believe that house was built in the late 1800s, and at the worst, early 1900s. I said, but I actually think it's older than that. That's why I always called it Little House on the Prairie. And she said she does not know exactly when it was built, but she said she know all three of those houses on this block were built before the Civil War. And she told me that she is from Alabama originally, but at 1 year old, which is Alabama, we're like 7 miles from the Alabama line. So the area that she was in is not far from here at all. It's 20, 30 miles from here. That she grew up in Alabama. Not that she was born in Alabama. She didn't grow up there. She grew up here. But she said one of the reasons why her father moved them here when she was 1 year old is because this county in Georgia, and this area here in Georgia, has always been accepting of blacks. And you see that when you hear, because there's a lot of blacks in this area. All right. Now, this county, I believe, only has like 20,000 people in it. But she said the reason her father moved her here to this area because he said he never played the race card. He said people are people, doesn't matter what color they are. And so where they were in Alabama was not accepting of that as much as this county was. So that's why he moved them here. And she, of course, shared a bunch of other stories with me about, what they used to do here. Because in this area that I'm sitting in right now was a whole bunch of old fruit trees, peach trees, apple trees. And she said they were old, though. Actually, they were old in 1940 when they moved here. And they got so old that they had to remove them, she said. And she remembers it taking them like 3 months to get all the trees removed. And her and her dad, because her and her dad did a lot of this work, she said. And then they replaced it. She said while she lived here, they grew corn in this big old field right here because they were responsible. Now, the homes that they lived in were rental homes. This home has been a rental home for probably 100 years, y'all. Literally, this house that we're tearing down has been a rental home for over 100 years. She said both of those houses, the one they lived in and the one we just tore down, which was right next to theirs, were rentals. There was another family that rented the house we were in, and then them. And then there was another gentleman that came earlier than her today, and he told us that, I want to say, he didn't give us a time frame, but he said he rented this house that we just tore down for a very long time, like 10, 15 years, that he lived in this house. So what we've seen today is a bunch of older people in this area. When I say a bunch, let's say about 5 or 6 cars, right, that have come past and come down this road. And again, this is a dead end road. There's a cemetery at the end of this road, y'all. but they're actually getting to see one of the last pieces of history that they grew up looking at and living around taken down. Now, the next oldest house here would be the one right down the street. It's a big old house. That's where the actual like slave master guy actually lived, because it's a really big old house, and it was like an old plantation house. But like I said, I mean, technically his title was a slave master, but in this area, it really wasn't. It was like, you can come here and be free. So these people that worked for him, and they worked for him, he paid them, helped them with housing, all that kind of stuff. So I don't even want to really give him that title of a slave master, because that wasn't what he was trying to do with the people here. So it's something that the county that the Father has allowed us to move into is a county that has always fought against racism and the systematic racism. And I tell the saints, I've been telling them how this place, I was telling Michael Israel that this place hates big government. This county hates big government. They love that the people can live free and do what they want. One thing we love about living here is that this place has no restrictions on any of the lands and stuff here. And we have no inspectors. So like when we build this new house, I don't have to go to anybody and get any permits. I don't have to do any of that. Nobody has to come and check. Now what will happen is when Georgia Power comes to set the power up, to connect the power, they will make sure everything we did is, you know, up to code, so that we won't burn nothing down. But as for county inspectors to make sure, you know, we did this is right, and nope, we don't have any of that. So we're free here to build any way and how we want to. And we like that. And the people that come to this area, they come here for that reason. So I just thought that was some very interesting history about the area that the Most High has planted Straightway Georgia in. I thought it was nice to meet. I won't mention her name, but I thought it was nice to meet the lady that we met today and talk with her, and for her to share a piece of her history. Now, I did a little video earlier about hand forged nails, right? Because I found a whole bunch of them, and she had a huge smile on her face when I shared that with her, because she said she has like a Chester box or a jewelry box, and it is full of those, because when the house she lived in, they actually got to tear that house down, her and her family. And when they did, she said she collected a whole bunch of those nails, because of course that house was built pre-Civil War, which means Civil War was in what, 1860, something like that. So the houses here were built before that, you guys. So it was just interesting. It really was amazing that this house has been here potentially close to 200 years. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought it was a nice bit of history. It was nice to meet her. She sees my family walking in the cemetery area almost every day. So she waves at them. They wave at her and speak to her. And I just thought it was nice. And I thought I'd share that with you guys. Hallelujah. So, but we're moving on. So this pre-Civil War, it's going to get out of here. I'm using that little bitty carport right now, and those sheds, but those will definitely be gone too, and we will build newer and more modern ones to fit. But little bit of Lyerly history right here, Georgia history, I should say. Hallelujah. All right, bless y'all. Stay encouraged. Shalom, shalom.